All right, here we go on a Thursday night. Crazy Thursday. I can't get over the show we just did today on Cofield Company because it never stopped coming with the sports news. We were trying to cover the NBA draft, and it was like just bombs from everywhere, breaking news. Judge Dan is with us. We've got some special new locations here. I'm in my my man pad. I didn't tell anyone about this place. And then apparently Justin is in hiding. So I don't know what's happened. You seemed to be okay yesterday when I saw you at the Battleborn studios, but is something wrong? Who are you running from?
That's my safe place. The 3BC is my safe place. Now I'm at home and the kids are on summer vacation. I got to hide out.
You're on the run from the kids.
Mm-hmm.
Dan, you might want to get one of these rooms for that dog.
Oh, I know, man. I mean, it's crazy. So there was another fight incident with that, by the way, because he went back to work on that carpet, and that last shred of dignity of maybe scraping along, it tore me and the wife apart, and she started crying. It was not good. By the way, though, I am very impressed. God, look at Cofield's setup. Now all of a sudden, Cofield, no more pretending. No more pretending that Cofield isn't just bankrolled, loaded with money. God, look at this guy. Jesus.
Oh my God. Did we tell?
I don't want to hear any more about you can't afford at least a Traeger or something, a decent.
I know, right?
Friggin' smoker, man. Good God, look at that place.
We didn't tell Justin. Justin, you weren't on with us last week. You didn't get to see the carpet that Dan's dog just completely destroyed.
No, I didn't.
Oh.
Hey, Dan, easiest place to find that. Did you send it to me, or is it on Twitter, or is it on the DMs?
I think I sent it to you on the DMs. Yeah.
Let me see if I can find it on DMs.
Oh God, yeah, Justin. We have these little. It's a boxer bulldog mix. Brandon Stokely, former wide receiver with Peyton Manning and the Colts. He was mad at me for calling him Tin Cup because he blew a rather high stakes golf match. He took great delight, as did all of my haters on the fan. I said, tonight's your night, because my wife just sent me a live photo of the dog. I'm hemorrhaging literally thousands of dollars live on the air as the puppy destroyed all of the flooring in my house in one foul swoop. And so now I have to get flooring throughout.
You got a puppy? That's a rookie mistake right there.
What do you mean, rookie mistake? Allowing my daughter to save the life of a pandemic puppy? Rookie mistake.
Pandemic puppy? It was found on the streets? Is that what happened?
Yeah, it came in from Texas.
Yeah, from a high class breeder.
No, obviously not. Otherwise, I wouldn't be saving it. It was off the streets.
How do you know it came from Texas then?
Because it came in from a rescue in Texas. That's how. I got it from the rescue.
Oh my gosh!
It's also on my Twitter, Steve.
You don't have any local rescue pups that need it? You got to go to Texas.
We're high class in Colorado. We don't abuse animals in Colorado, so we rescue.
There's plenty of rescues that aren't puppies.
My daughter wanted a puppy, and that's the price I paid. And she, by the way, she's doing nothing to take care of it because he's a great dog. And if she would just, do what she said she would do. In fact, I have a lawyer on this podcast right now, Justin Watkins from Battleborn Injury Attorneys. Justin, what are my legal options if my daughter enters a contract to, feed the dog, exercise the dog X amount of times per day? What are my legal recourses if she does none of the things she said she would do with this pandemic puppy? What can I do legally to my daughter?
Oh my God, give away the dog. That's what I say. I got a puppy, and I got daughters, and I don't clean up any poop. I don't feed the dog. I don't water the dog. I don't have to walk the dog. And if they don't do any of those things, the dog is gone.
The dog is gone. Have you ever gotten rid of a dog that you have?
Oh, I could get rid of this dog tomorrow. Yeah, no problem. I mean, I'm not a dog person. So I'm doing it for them. But I would be just happy to, just to not have a dog or
tough talk. Pets. Tough talk out of old Justin Watkins.
Well, in fairness, I grew up, my dad grew up on a farm in Pennsylvania. When he moved out to the desert, he thought he'd bring the farm with him. So I grew up with cows and chickens and horses and dogs and cats. And I took care of them my whole life growing up. And
I shot them.
I've had enough. I don't, yeah, this is your dog.
That's it.
I mean, that is outrageous. That is outrageous. At the bottom of the stairs, at the corner, the friggin' padding is up, the wood with the nails and everything. Come on, bro.
Well, and then what you can't see is, because people are like, well, dude, you just replaced the padding. But then he tore up the bottom stair. He had been working on shredding the carpet on the actual stair too. So we knew eventually we were going to have to do the carpet and this and that. So we knew it was going to be a whole deal. But the problem is that bottom level is half hardwood, half carpet. And so, I'm a goner, man. I'm just a goner. I'm dead.
What's
man
everybody doing? Why this dog is tearing up your floor?
I don't know. I'm a hard, I'm sitting there slaving away in front of a hot microphone at the radio station. Somebody's at the top of the stairs saying, "Hey, this is a great time to snap a picture. We're not going to stop this guy, right?"
Yeah. Oh man. Oh, Truth from Duluth's got it all right, man. My dogs growing up never once went to the vet. This puppy that we bought 2 years ago, right? Not rescue, purebred German Shepherd from, Napa Valley, for all I know. I don't know where this dog came from, was at the vet 5 times within the first 3 months of owning that dog. Had surgery on a tooth because the dog bit into a rock. I mean, that's where I get taken raked over the coals, is the vet bills. Not, him destroying the house or me, cleaning up after him. I've got that part figured out, but I don't even get consulted on the vet. That just happens. And the next thing I know, it's like, oh, there's, the dog needs this new allergy powder on his dog food because he broke out in a rash when he ate. So I don't know, whatever he ate. That's when I've lost all control. The dog completely owns the medicine cabinet now.
True story. My first dog, my dad had a guy that picked him up for work every day, and the dog would always get out every morning, and he liked this guy, so we would sit under the tire of this guy's truck. And the guy said, "You know what? This dog will learn." Just stepped on the gas. Pancake the dog, Chihuahua. They let me go all summer thinking I'm bragging about my dog. My dog's the best dog. And finally my cousin said, "Dude, your dog's dead." I'm like, "What?" I'm 8 years old. My little lip is quivering. "What are you talking about?" Like, "Yeah, dude, your dog's dead. Screw off." I'm like, "Oh, well, that facts of life, Dan." That's what it was like growing up in the old Jacobs household. He'll learn. That dog will learn. Well, he learned the hard way. He died.
That actually happened in our house. My dog, I grew up, we had 2 Australian Shepherds. There was Boomer and Rango. Boomer rang, clever. The Rango was mine as a 4-year-old, 5-year-old, and Boomer was my brother's, who's 2 years older than me. And old Rango got ran over by my dad in the driveway.
On purpose?
No, not on purpose, but I don't think my dad took a lot of time looking around to make sure dogs didn't run under the truck.
Well, mine was on purpose, but yeah, same thing. Close, yeah.
Yeah, on purpose.
Mine was literally, he'll learn.
That's awesome. They're smart. They have instincts. So Dan, on sports radio up there in Denver, what was the hot topic the last couple of days? What was your go-to topic?
Well, I mean, obviously training camp just opened up, but right before I hit the air, I know you guys are big hockey guys, but right before I hit the air 2 nights ago, which, by the way, I was going to say I did have Adrian Dater on, which was funny, because he did not seem to recollect the conversation I had before the infamous night in question, because I brought it up. He didn't recollect our conversation, but we signed Gabriel Landeskog to a long 8-term year deal, so that was cool. And then we got rid of that guy that cost us the Vegas Golden Knights series. And our goal,
I don't know, man. I don't. You tell me, Justin. What do you think? Did they make out in the goalie swap? I don't think they did.
I don't think it was an upgrade. I mean, at best, it
I
was a
don't think it
lateral
is either.
move.
It's not an
They
upgrade.
gave up 2 picks. Yeah, I don't think it's an upgrade. You know, a lot of that. I mean, Darcy Kemper is a good goalie, but the picks that they gave up when they had Grubauer in house, you know, I think they paid a steeper price to get Kemper at best. I think equal goalie to Grubauer right now.
So, hey, you guys are in Vegas. You guys control all this stuff. You guys are the kingmakers out there in the desert. You guys you personally, you two in particular, and you have instilled the Avs as the favorites to win the cup. So you guys know what you're talking about. Good job out of you guys. Aren't you guys the ones that go over personally to, you sit in the room in the back and you set the lines, right? You set the odds?
That's us. Yeah, no doubt.
Can I take the non-Avalanche field? Or the Avs to not get past the second round again?
Ouch. Brutal. Well, I mean, I don't know. Can I bet on the Golden Knights owner to panic and trade away their Vezina trophy winning goaltender and to get,
nothing
and
I think
panic
that was
and
a good move
in the third round? I don't know.
I mean, I love Fleury, but if you're just talking about what's a good hockey move, I think it was a good hockey move.
I don't.
$7 million in cap space. I'm talking about just on the ice.
I don't think it's I don't think it's a good move on the ice either.
How not? If you have 3 options. You spend $12 million on goalies, right? That's option number 1. Keep the status quo.
Right.
Option
I don't want that.
You have a goalie who's, or option 3 is you take a 38-year-old for another year at $7 million with no backup. Like, out of those 3 options, I think they picked the best option.
Well, you cut out there. Well, my option is trade Leonard, and hell, if he goes to the Avs, then he goes to the Avs. But you can actually get something for him because he's younger and he's under contract. I extend Fleury a year. I give an option year as a 3rd year, and I build around Fleury. And the other thing is, I'm pretty confident Fleury's going to play. I mean, listen, I don't know what he's going to do with Chicago, but I'm pretty confident if you need Fleury to play 65 games, he's going to play 65 games. Do you want to bet right now? Do you want to do over under 62.5 games for Leonard next year? I'll take under.
62 is a big number considering they just paid $2.5 million to a backup. So, I mean, clearly they've invested with the idea that they're going to play their backup in some amount of games.
All right. So what's the number?
55.
All right. I want to do some research, but I'll take the under. Whatever number you said, I'll take the under.
55. All right.
I want to.
I just said it. 55.
I want to look. And but I might bump it up.
To look at. He just told you.
No, he just said I'll take any number you put up.
I know what's going on, Cofield.
I'm not ready. I'm not ready yet. But my point is,
you're waffling. What do you mean you're not ready? You were the one that proposed it. What are you, a big talker?
I don't trust
big talker.
I don't trust.
What are you talking for? Yap.
I don't trust Leonard to play. I don't think he's durable.
You're like, what do you want to bet? What do you want to bet? Oh, I'll bet this. Well, I need more time.
Based on these times he's out, and we don't know if it's a concussion or something else.
It was a concussion, but Fleury's had 6 concussions in his career.
All right.
Leonard's had 3. Goalies get concussions. I mean, shit.
We'll see.
We should have Cofield play hockey because he just backpedaled on like he played
I can see it backwards.
Me too now. Took lessons.
Yeah.
But I think they chose the wrong guy. I think it should have been Fleury.
I just got to tell you,
I don't care.
He
that
played
Leonard's
so well against, particularly against the Avalanche in the second round. I don't know about the third round, but I mean, he just he was the difference in that series. I mean, against what everybody believed was the best team in hockey, particularly that first line. He was the difference. They just couldn't do anything.
I mean, I agree with you there. I do, and I was saying it in real time at the time that Fleury, before the playoffs even started, we get against Colorado. Fleury is the matchup against Colorado. There's something about his style that frustrates Colorado, and there had been enough of a history of Fleury playing well against Colorado that I think it was a little bit in their heads about Fleury, that they didn't feel the same way about Leonard. But I also said at the same time that Leonard was the better matchup for Montreal. And Fleury cost him a game. He gave a game away.
Well, yeah, but I mean, didn't they bench him and play the other,
and then they won.
They played the other goalie.
Right.
Other games.
You only got 7 of them. You can't just be giving one away. Right. If we win that game, we're up 2-1. And then we won the next game. Now we're up 3-1. Different series. But
I think by the way, I think my Leonard number needs to be 62.5. So I think that's fair.
This guy.
Well, I mean,
this guy.
You didn't propose a bet.
Why don't you make it 80?
You proposed a bet that I picked the number.
This dude the last 3 years, and now they're abbreviated seasons. This dude the last 3 years behind who? Hellebuck has played about 20 games a year. That's fair.
Just make it 80, Steve.
Now all of a sudden he's going to play 25, 28 games. Where are you getting that from?
Because he, number one, is getting a bump in salary. Number two, Kelly McCrimmon specifically said he came here to get more playing time, not to get the same amount of playing time. Right? That was their sales pitch. They're paying him $2.5 million. You don't pay $2.5 million for somebody for 20 games.
$5 million for a guy who's going to play 57 games
and all the playoffs.
Well, maybe
this team isn't signing contracts based on the regular season right now. That's not we're not struggling to get in the playoffs. We're struggling once we're in the playoffs. We need to be signing people who perform in the playoffs. Mark Stone, sorry, but him by himself isn't enough in the playoffs. He 2 years in a row in a defensive sided series has disappeared. Completely disappeared. So we need more offense. We need less goalies. The goalies are not costing us any of these games, save the exception of when Fleury gave the puck away and put it in his own goal in, game 3 of the Montreal series.
When was the last time Cofield's been beat up this badly on one of his own shows?
I'm not beat up. I'm making my
getting destroyed, Cofield. You're getting totally destroyed.
Not at all. I don't is Logan Thompson ready or not?
Oh, that part I'm with you there. Logan Thompson had the best season by an AHL goalie in maybe a decade, and we're not gonna let him sniff the roster. I'm with you there. I don't love the signing of a backup at $2.5 million. I would like them to give the chance to Logan Thompson. Clearly, front office doesn't believe in Logan Thompson. Clearly, they don't believe that whatever he did in the AHL is translatable yet, but I would have liked to see it.
Where's this new firepower they're supposed to get? Alec Martinez?
I don't like that signing either.
Nolan Patrick?
I like that.
I think Alec Martinez is good with a little bump at where he was, but now he's at what, like 5.25 or something?
Avalanche.
5.25.
I mean, the Avalanche. You're aware the Avalanche are winning the Stanley Cup next year, right, guys?
What
are we talking about?
I'll take that bet.
Yeah.
Why are we talking about second place in the Western Conference?
Well, I mean, let's face it. The Avalanche haven't got to that point yet. They haven't even got to a conference final yet. So until they get there, if we're talking about second or first place in the Western Conference,
how many Stanley Cup championships do the Golden Knights have? Come on now.
Wow, shit. We've had 4 seasons.
I'm sorry. Is that an excuse? How many Stanley Cup championship rings do the Golden Knights have? Is that your way of saying 0, Justin?
Yes,
if that's what you're saying, then I'll accept your answer.
The most successul franchise.
The Avalanche had 1 after 1 season, just so you know. If you want to hear us out here. The Avalanche had 1 Stanley Cup championship after 1 season, just so you know. If we're keeping score.
Yeah, that's true. In Colorado, yeah.
Yes, correct. Yes, you don't have to qualify.
To get to Steve's point, I don't like the Alec Martinez signing. It's too much money for a guy who's going to be 35 for 3 years in a position that we're not weak at. We got defense. We have defensemen, and we have them cheap, and we've developed them. That's the one side of the ice that we have developed. I think Haig's good. I think Cogley can take the next step up. Obviously, White Cloud's played great, and Shea and Petro and Braden, I liked him. He was one of my favorites during the playoffs. He stepped up during the playoffs. He was big in the playoffs, but I don't think it's $5 million we needed to spend.
All right. Argument to be continued.
What about Jack Eichel?
All right, enough.
They said they're done.
Is that a little voodoo doll
No
in
more
the
moves.
back on the couch there? What is that thing? Is that a voodoo doll, or what is that?
I love that. By the way, yeah, it is. I love that Kelly McCrimmon yesterday just lies through his teeth. It was like, yeah, we're done. No more moves. Less than 24 hours later, Ryan Reeves gone. Okay, all right, Kel.
He did not say no more moves. He said, I don't think we're going to do anything major.
I still think he's fibbing. I still think Riley Smith is
the whole organization lies all the time. I don't even know why you guys ask questions in the press conference.
I don't ask.
All they do is fucking lie to you guys.
Right. That's Adam's job.
Yeah. They lie to Adam too.
Oh yeah. No doubt. All right. I want to get to the Cleveland Guardians in a couple of minutes, but I think one of the most important things going on right now is with DeShan Watson and what the NFL is doing and not doing. And I wanted to contrast Trevor Bauer, who apparently, by tonight's actions, the Dodgers anticipate Bauer's out for the year. They went out and they got Max Scherzer. They also get Trey Turner, which, you know what, makes me sad. There's the evilest empire of all is the Dodgers, so I don't want to ever hear anything about my Yankees ever again.
Oh, stop it. Shut your mouth.
They're run by a bunch of cheap bastards.
Oh, shut your mouth.
Money.
Shut your mouth.
Paupers picking up guys like
talking about getting Trevor Story right now, and plus they made another trade today. What are you talking about?
They got Rizzo.
They're talking about fleecing the Colorado Rockies right now. What are you talking about?
They are.
We have one player left. We have one player left before we become the real-life Cleveland Indians of Major League. And you're talking about my Yankees. Oh, what was me? My poor Yankees.
Can't compete with the Dodgers. Too much money.
Oh, we can't compete with the Dodgers.
Too much
my
money.
God. Boy, you're having a bad night, Cofield. Sorry.
I know, it's been rough. It's been rough.
A bad night.
All right. So, Justin, start. Compare, contrast these cases, and especially Watson and the NFL, and, why he's not on the exempt list. There's a lot of people right now who are like, why is this guy practicing?
Yeah. So, I want to start by saying, like I did on air with you yesterday, that I see these two cases very differently. One case, DeShan Watson, the allegations in the spectrum of sexual assault, clarified by saying, nowhere on the spectrum of sexual assault type cases is any of these okay, or am I endorsing any of these? But there certainly is a spectrum. There is an unwanted touching or advance, all the way to forcible and physical rape. All of those things can be categorized as sexual assault. In the spectrum of that, the allegations that have been made in a civil suit against DeShan Watson are very much on the less severe end of those, with one exception, in which there is a complaint that the woman, the victim, claimed that DeShan Watson physically guided her down to oral sex. I need to hear more on what that means to that particular victim before I can weigh in on where that falls in on the spectrum. But the allegations were made first in civil court with no criminal complaint. The attorney for the alleged victims characterized these as sexual assaults in which they were cooperating with the Houston Police Department before they'd ever talked to the Houston Police Department, and the Houston Police Department publicly repudiated that claim. And we have now been months into an investigation by the Houston Police Department in which the NFL and the Houston Police Department have both stated that they are sharing information, and there has been no criminal charges. So if I'm the NFL, I've talked about this for years now. If I do not have any criminal charges being pressed, when there has been opportunity to do so, and the only claim is civil in nature, I'm out. I'm out on civil claims. The standard in civil court is lower. the fact finding is different, and it's not the position of the civil courts to protect the health public of the public and safety of the public. It is the role of the criminal courts to do that very thing. And if the criminal courts don't believe, or the prosecutors don't believe that a crime has been committed, and they are not prosecuting, and there is no risk being assessed by our criminal courts who are there to protect us, then I'm not stepping in as the NFL. Trevor Bauer, on the other hand, at Major League Baseball, the allegations are forceful, physical, unconsented to, physically abusive sexual assault. While the claim is that sex started consensual, said that the physical abuse associated with it got to the point where it was no longer consensual, that consent couldn't actually be had because the alleged victim was unconscious. And so we are dealing with a whole nother level there. And the victim went to the police first. The police investigation's ongoing, and we're very short in time to say that the police have not had any opportunity to really press charges. Now, to be clear, if I were running Major League Baseball, I would still not have Trevor Bauer on the exempt list. I would still allow him to play until the point in which there was criminal charges.
Judge Dan, no longer Hockey Dan.
Well, I would say this on the DeShan Watson side, the fact that the attorneys have become such caricatures, they have gone so far to deny themselves credibility in the public light. And by the way, publicly, what we have seen is we have seen so little. By the way, from what Busby has presented, it appears that yes, he has these people, but there appears to be so light on. Other than there appears to be, yes, there was some small, yes, there appears to be that they knew each other. There was some sort of relationship, yes. Outside of that, though, there doesn't seem to be any. It's very much he said, she said, how are they going to prove it type thing. It's like Justin said, civil, right? So it's very hard for the NFL to get involved in that, much along the lines what Justin had said. And then you add in, you have these two attorneys that have gone so far to strain their own credibility in the public eye that I think the NFL is just like, you know what? We can't. We cannot take one position or the other. We simply can't get involved. There's no dog in this hunt that we can fall on. And so we're just going to step back. And if DeShan Watson or the teams or whatever, do what you got to do. And we're just going to step back because there's no area, there's no move that we can make here that's going to be the right move for us. So we're going to step back, and if the team wants to say one thing, or DeShan Watson wants to say one thing or another, fine. That's, you guys do what you got to do. But because this is such a circus, because nobody here has clean hands at all, we don't want to touch it. Period. We're stepping out of this. You guys can deal it out, figure it out later. But here's another interesting thing because of that, because it doesn't look like, and I know everybody got all in, criminal complaints now. And Justin, you can correct me. That's not criminal complaints filed, criminal charges filed. That was some of these victims now have said, well, we've gone to the police and made criminal complaints. So that doesn't mean, to my understanding, unless something new has come down, has criminal charges against him now. So what I think we're seeing is a softening. Some of the, will we see one of these teams like the Broncos or one of the other teams say, let's go get him on the cheap and just wait for this to resolve itself, because eventually this will be resolved. DeShan Watson will settle this at some point 2 years from now, whenever it is, and play in the NFL again. He's going to play in the NFL again. Do you want to be one of the teams? Do you want to be the team that, once this dies down, and it will eventually, because he's not going to prison. He's not going to face, more than likely, because I don't, if Busby had a smoking gun, he would have played that card publicly by now, because that's the way he is. That's who he is. He would have done that. He doesn't have it. So that's not coming. So DeShan Watson's probably, more than likely, not facing any criminal charges here. This is going to get resolved. However, it's going to get resolved, and probably 2 seasons from now, maybe next season or the season thereafter, DeShan Watson's going to play. If you're the Dolphins or the Broncos or whomever, which team is in play, or the Eagles, I think the Eagles are maybe the most strongest candidate. You want to go get them right now for a first-round pick? Go get them. That's what will be interesting. Or halfway through this season, how cheap is the price? It'll be interesting to see if he gets dealt.
Yeah, and you're right, Dan. There has been no criminal charges of any kind, and that's where my stance draws. I'm not advocating for any sports league to say wait until there's a criminal conviction. For me, if I'm a sports league, I'm going to rely on criminal charges. I get it, innocent till proven guilty, but that's not the standard for me as a league. I could stand behind the prosecutors and the police in regards to criminal charges and say, hey, that's their job, is to protect the public. They believe they have sufficient evidence to bring a criminal charge, and I'm going to rely on that for the purposes of not allowing them to play. They still get paid. They're just on the sidelines until that legal process works out. And then if there's a criminal conviction, whatever we're going to do based on that. But if there's a violent crime that's being asserted against one of my players and there's criminal charges, they're out. If there's not, and Dan said it perfectly, and there's a civil circus going on, I got nothing to do with that. You lawyers go do your dance. The dog and pony show in front of the court to exchange money. You go do that. That's got nothing to do with me. And more importantly, I'm not relying on your fact finding. I'm going to trust the professionals in the criminal courts that's their job, and I'm going to stick with them. So that's where I'm at. And everybody's going to point to a whole bunch of examples of which the league hasn't done that. I agree. They didn't do that with Ben Roethlisberger, right? There was no criminal charges, but they went ahead and did a suspension, right? There are a number of examples where they jumped in and made their own investigation and made their own findings. And in real time, at that time and today, I'm still saying, I think that's a mistake. You create a gray line of precedent for yourself as a league, when I think it's very easy to create a rule that's very bright line and that everybody knows the expectations. And so every time something like this comes up, we're not sitting here debating whether or not the NFL got it right or wrong.
All right, let's answer some questions. I'm not exactly sure what this means. Thoughts about a group criminal complaint after filing? I don't know. What does that say? Think some attorney is leverage?
Go ahead. So what he's talking about is, my understanding is Justin can correct me if I'm wrong. Yes, this week, a bunch of, maybe up to 10 of them came and said, okay, they went to the police and said, yes, we would like to make a criminal complaint. So yes, a bunch of the plaintiffs said, yes, the victims, alleged victims said, we're now saying we want you, the authorities, to pursue criminal charges against Mr. Watson. But that doesn't mean he's going to be charged criminally. If there's not evidence of it, the prosecutors are going to say, okay, well, we'd like to look at your stories, see if we have any evidence to back that up. And then they'll make a decision if they can move forward with charges on that. Right now, unless something new has popped up that I'm not aware of, we'll have to wait and see how that plays out. And what I go back to what I said to a few minutes ago. If Busby had any of that, we would have heard that from the mountaintops months ago.
And I also think that there's an aspect that, Dan, you have more criminal experience than I do, which is I have zero. That if they even accept some of the allegations as true, they would not consider those criminal.
I'm sorry, explain that. What are you talking
Yeah,
about?
so like I mean, some of the allegations that are in the civil complaint are along the lines of, he took the towel off and I was uncomfortable, but I still went forward with the massage, and he kind of maneuvered his way in a way that made me uncomfortable, but there is no actual physical touching. There's a couple of complaints that's their claim, right? He was naked and I didn't want him to be
I don't
naked.
know. I mean, I don't know. That could be indecent exposure, or I mean,
But if he's in his house, right? I mean, if you're a criminal, he's in his house and you have the right to leave, right? Are they going to press criminal charges for somebody who does that? Like, if I just don't know if they even accept that as true.
Well, I mean, there are crimes. I mean, we'd have to go through the statute book, but I mean, there are crimes that they're alleging, unwanted things that they are alleging, sexual assault that they're alleging. Just taking off your towel may not be a crime, but that's not what they're alleging. They're alleging.
No. Some of them are, though, right? Like,
Right.
I mean, we got 21 complaints. Absolutely, some of them are. And then you touched me with your penis, or
Right.
then you forced me to do this, right? Those exist for sure. But there are a handful of complaints on the lower end that there is no allegation of actual physical touching, a contact of unconsented to. In my reading of it, it is you took off your towel and you were not supposed to do that. I gave you the benefit of the doubt and went forward, and then you propositioned me. And I said no. And so I think if that were accepted as true, I don't think that's something that
that's probably why there were only that's probably why there were only 10 or so criminal complaints this week, or whatever they were. That's why there probably weren't 24. I'm guessing. Yep. I don't know. I didn't read closely enough or whatever. But yeah, I would agree.
All right, what other questions? Let's see. I don't know what this is in reference to. It was a while ago. It says, so amend the CBA to require criminal conviction or acknowledgement of civil liability for, defensive claims? What does that mean?
I mean, what I want it to be, I would just change criminal conviction to criminal charges as a exempt list, and then penalties associated with criminal convictions or admitted liability in a civil case. But Sean knows you're never going to get admitted liability in a civil case. You're never going to get it. They're going to hold on to that forever. The only way, I guess, would be a civil, verdict that finds you to have committed the wrong. But that's only 50.1% or more. It's not the same stringent standard as a criminal. So I would just throw the civil stuff out. Civil court is not what I want any business doing. And then I would have the penalties associated with a criminal conviction very specific, right? DUI, 2 games, whatever it is, sexual assault, 4 games, rape, permanent ban, right? Like, I would have very, very strict guidelines for what the penalties are associated with a criminal conviction of any of these crimes.
Well, but they also want to protect their ability to punish things that don't end in a criminal conviction, which, like, where they have video that never, for whatever reason, never gets charged, never winds up in a conviction. The victim, comes to an agreement and convinces prosecutors not to charge or whatever, but then the graphic video gets out. I mean, the league wants to, preserve the ability to punish misconduct doesn't result in a conviction or even charges. I mean, they want to preserve the ability to do that.
Right. That's where I think they're making a mistake. I agree with you. That's what they want. They want it to be vague. They want to be able to have discretion, and they want to be able to, address it on a case by case basis as the political winds blow. Right. I disagree with that. I would, and I think I would create less controversy in my stance than they create in their stance, because you cannot follow a logical line of precedent through their punishments that they've handed out. They're inconsistent.
Yeah, they are.
And so I think you can create consistency, but I agree with you. They'll never do what I'm proposing, because they absolutely want what you're saying. They want to create vagueness. They want to create discretion. They want to maintain as much power as possible and leverage, for sure.
We talked about this yesterday on the terrestrial side, but let's explain it again. The attorney for DeShan Watson said he was willing to settle as long as there were no NDAs. That seemed weird.
I think that's a headline that is not in the appropriate context for public consumption. Meaning, if anybody asks me on any case, any civil case, are you willing to settle? The answer is sure. Yes, I'm willing to settle. But I think what comes after that is telling, is that he said in response to the question, yes, we'd be willing to settle, but we're not doing any non-disclosures. It will be public if there is any resolution. Now, what the public hears on that is, oh, DeShan Watson is willing to settle. He's going to pay these people money. He must have done it. When in reality, what a settlement could look like in this regard, I don't think this is likely, but what it could look like is something along the lines of, I'm dropping my claim. You won't sue me for malicious prosecution. We each bear our own attorney's fees and costs. It's a walk away. Because at this point, they can't just walk away from these claims without petitioning the court. And just, if they wanted to walk away from the claim, DeShan Watson could make a claim for attorney's fees and costs. So they're in this now. And anything that resolves this case, even if it's a walk away, would be considered technically a settlement. I don't think that that's what was intended by his words either. I don't think anybody's offering to walk away and he's holding their feet to the fire. But I don't think what the attorney was saying is, yes, we're willing to pay these people. We're ready to do it now. Let's start talking.
Well, even if that's not what he was trying to say, even if what he's trying to say, even if what his position is, if it's going to be settled, it all has to be, we have to be willing to disclose the terms of the settlement. That's also moronic. Kobe Bryant was accused of choke raping a teenage, or slightly older than a teenage woman. He settled it, moved on with his career, and was just fine. And the police report is out there, and it went away. This thing is going to be settled. I promise you, DeShan Watson is not going to take 24 cases to trial. It's going to be settled. And if DeShan Watson thinks the only way this thing is going to be settled is if he's a white knight and gets to trumpet to the public how noble he was in all this deal, it's moronic. Rusty Hardin needs to just shut his mouth. Of course, the terms of these settlements are going to be confidential. That's the way this is going to work. Just shut up. Both of these lawyers, I don't know if Justin's still there or not, but both of these lawyers could not be doing more of a disservice to their clients with the way they are representing themselves. And I am just, I don't know if I can come up with the words with just how amazed I am at just the level of ineptitude of the way they function and how they get away with it. But it's just, I'm flummoxed with the way they just continue to trip over themselves. This will get settled and it will be confidential. DeShan Watson does not have clean hands here. Any way you slice it, no matter what happened here, is not normal. No matter what his behavior was, whether he's guilty of what he was accused of here or not, is not normal. And he will pay to settle, and it will be confidential. So Rusty Hardin should just shut his mouth, go do what lawyers do, advocate zealously for his client, do a good job, and find a fair resolution on the best terms possible for his client behind closed doors, outside of the purview of the media. Just stop. It's asinine.
See, I have a different take on this one, and for two reasons. Number one, policy wise, NDAs are fragile right now. In a lot of states, Nevada's one of them, NDAs are not enforceable on sexual assault claims. So there is a push throughout the country to make NDAs not enforceable and to make them not enforceable retroactively, so that all the past, NDAs that were signed can no longer be enforced. Right? That there is a movement. It's a part of the Me Too movement. But there is a movement to allow victims to speak about their experiences, even if they were paid in civil court. So that's number one. Number two, with that in mind, I think it's actually smart if you represent a defendant in a sexual assault claim in a civil action to ensure that any settlement agreement you get into is worded in a way that you anticipate the public is going to see it either immediately or one day soon. What do I mean by that? What would that look like if you're DeShan Watson? It would look something like this, I think. The victim would say, while DeShan Watson's advances and touchings were unwanted, I did not vocalize that to him. And it is now my understanding that DeShan Watson believed that they were consensual, even though they were not. Right? If that's worded in a settlement agreement like that, and the public consumes that, they see that, what does the public think? Misunderstanding, right? To your point, Dan, I don't believe this is a misunderstanding, right? I'm with you, right? Whatever the hell went on here, at best, DeShan Watson's probably a pretty weird dude. I don't know. But if I were his counsel, that's my goal. My goal is that if I settle this case and I keep the terms confidential, everybody's going to assume my client did it. If I settle the case and I pay a nominal amount, $5,000, $10,000, $15,000, but I make the settlement agreement public and I have terms like I just described that tell the world it was a misunderstanding, I've done the best I can do for my client.
If what you're talking about is a stipulated public statement from the victims, it's not going to be nominal. Like that, my opinion.
Right. No, I get it.
My opinion is it would not be nominal because right. you're paying substantially for what you're getting, which is a statement from sexual assault victims to publicly endorse DeShan Watson, essentially.
Yeah, well, but to that extent, what's nominal to DeShan Watson is substantial potentially to some others, right? So,
well,
grand,
but not to,
grand,
but yeah, but not
right.
to Tony Busby. Tony Busby is not here for $15,000. I mean, that's $5,000 to him.
Yep. No, I don't disagree with you, but I do. I'm giving Rusty Hardin a lot of credit here that maybe his history does not suppose that I should, but I can see a line of logic where it makes sense to actually do what he's proposing. That being said, if I were in Rusty Hardin's shoes, I would have never said that. If that's my goal, I'm not publicly stating it right now to the world because now I've created an unrealistic expectation.
And I was with you at one point, Justin, because I used to hold him in such high regard as well. And I have another legal analyst, Jeff Wolf, that I have on my show. I have Justin on my show sometimes, and I have Jeff Wolf on my show as well. And he said, Dan, Rusty Hardin, pretty much since the Roger Clemens thing, has had a steep fall from grace. He just, of course, he's still a big time lawyer in Texas, and of course, he gets big fees, but he's not the lawyer he once was. And in this case, I look at both these guys, and I just, as an attorney, I look at them and I say, I just can't believe they're doing what they're doing. They're making the public statements they're making. You know, Busby's obviously a clown. He's a clown with a lot of clout, and he operates the way he operates, and he's made a lot of money doing what he does, and he has the track record he has. But Rusty Hardin at one point in his career was as successful as they came, and now it's kind of sad in my book.
Well, and we're talking about two different things, right? And one's the practice of law, which to be honest with you, I've only seen one of his filings in this one, and that was the motion to require to dismiss the case or have them state their names, which was well written. But there's the actual legal argument side, and what you're commenting on, and I agree full throated with everything that you're saying, is the PR side, the consultation or representation outside the courtroom side has been an absolute circus and has not advanced the interest of either side. And I agree with you there. I'm not commenting about how his acumen is in the courtroom or in the filings, because frankly, I have not read enough to say what he's doing is good or bad or indifferent. I only looked at the one filing. But from the PR standpoint, from what he's doing in the press on behalf of his client, I just don't see the upside of saying what he just said.
Cofield, where do you weigh in on that?
I'm here to give the questions. Let's see. Sean says, next question is the NFL. Can the NFL access any information related to the claims? He followed it up with, let's see.
Sean's just setting us up. He's giving us good lawyer content right here. Right.
Oh, here it is. DeShan settles. What can the NFL get access to? God damn it.
I mean, really, what can the NFL do? The NFL could demand that DeShan, as part of their investigation, cooperate by giving access to whatever information is in the case. Right? To Dan's point earlier. They want that gray area. They want to be able to apply pressure points and leverage, and having their own shadow investigation provides for that. But legally speaking, in a truly confidential settlement, you cannot hide everything from everybody, right? Subpoenas, court orders can have access to this information, but typically what they're going to write in a settlement agreement is, if you get a subpoena that's asking you to disclose the terms of this settlement agreement, you got to notify us, and so we can jump in to that court and ask that subpoena be quashed and that this information not be released. And then the court decides whether or not the reason for the subpoena can be achieved without disclosing confidential information, and or its relevancy and the balancing of those two things. In my experience, rarely have I seen a court just say, no, I don't care if it's confidential, give them it all. You know, the court wants to be protective of confidential settlements to the extent that they can be, and will be pretty thoughtful in trying to craft resolutions to that, about how to be responsive to a relevant, properly issued subpoena, but without disclosing all of the confidential terms of the settlement. Yeah, they can still do their own investigation and talk to all the people that the police talk to, and there's nothing to stop those people from talking. But in an NDA, if it's a settlement with the alleged victims and DeShan Watson, they can absolutely stop the accusers of talking in most states. In Nevada, they could not, right? While the money paid out would be confidential, I can't prevent a victim from telling their story. They get to tell it, the facts of the case. I can prevent them from talking about the amount of the settlement, or even the fact that we have settled, but I cannot prevent them from disclosing their story as to what happened.
All right. Everyone got their questions out on this one? Okay. Can I show you guys a couple of videos before we get out of here? I have no idea what's in this one, but it just reminded me, you guys were talking about Harden being a good attorney and maybe starting to kind of lose his way. This is on the masking and the vaccine with Alan Dershowitz. I just want you to hear what he's talking about here and see if, just get your reaction.
Infectious this is, how many people it kills. This is not smallpox. So it's and this is not a fully approved. It's not a fully approved vaccine either.
Neither was the smallpox vaccine in 1905. No, I think COVID is worse than smallpox in many ways. It may not kill as many people, but we don't know what the long-term impact is. I have
killed 300 million people worldwide. 300 million people.
I know. I have a right. I know. I have the right to get on an airplane and know that everybody on that airplane is vaccinated or tested. You may have the right not to get vaccinated, but you have no right to spread the disease to me, even if you won't kill me.
Professor,
even if you won't kill
have you
me,
not been listening? This is Harvard law.
By the way, we should jump in, and I guess you can argue, if you're fully vaccinated, you can argue the rights of the unvaccinated. As far as we know, she is fully vaccinated, right? And so is Tucker Carlson, doing this stuff every night about the vaccine. So I'll leave it at that, but we'll continue. Go ahead, Justin. What were we going to say?
I have no idea. I don't pay attention to Fox News, but go ahead.
First off, is Dershowitz legitimate now again? He stepped back into being legitimate again.
Maybe the argument on the other side is so ridiculous that even he's like, I can't fake this.
Yeah, but I don't believe you.
I didn't go to Harvard Law School, but I did hear. But I did hear the president today talk about how if you're vaccinated, you spread the virus. You still can spread the virus.
True.
I mean, the data out of Israel, the data out of the UK, they're freaking out about this.
It'll be spread much less seriously. Look, we don't know what we don't know.
Okay, you can deprive people of their constitutional rights.
Constitutional right?
Nope. Simply no. You don't have a constitutional right to get on a plane. There is a constitutional right in the United States to interstate travel, meaning Nevada can't say that Californians aren't allowed to come into Nevada wholeheartedly. Can they say, if anybody from another state's going to come into our state, they have to provide a vaccination card or a clean test? Yep, they can. So they can restrict travel reasonably for a compelling government interest. But there is no constitutional right for you to get onto a plane. That, I don't know how else to say that as plainly as it can be said.
What do you got, Dan? You want to watch the end of the video, or you got something?
Go ahead with the end of yeah, go ahead.
On the basis of a vaccine that still allows the spread of a virus.
There is no constitutional right to get on an airplane and to spread the disease to me, even if it's not going to be fatal.
Okay. All right.
I have constitutional rights.
We got to go. We're up against a hard break, but
and the court's got to balance it.
It's not smallpox. Professor, thank you.
All right, so hold on. I'm just saying this because I don't know. So they are saying their position is that the vaccine is what still allows the spread of the virus.
No. The what came out today from the CDC and the president is that with the new Delta variant, that even if you're vaccinated, you can spread it. Now, what the CDC says...
No, that's what she just said. She said a vaccine that still allows the spread of the virus. So,
right.
So if everybody was vaccinated, this virus would still be spreading, is what she's insinuating. It would be...
Right.
Yeah, okay.
Right. That's what she's saying. And she's trying to use CDC's findings that came out today against that. Although, in the CDC findings, it specifically says, I read it, specifically says, even though it's not in a single headline I've seen, although rare, It says, although rare, and everybody ignores that part and just says, oh, Delta variant. If you're vaccinated, you can still spread it just like everybody else. That's not what it says. It does not say just like everybody else. It just says the numbers were so low prior to the Delta variant, the spread rate was 0.07% amongst vaccinated people prior to the Delta variant. They don't have a specific number yet for the Delta variant, but it is more than 0.07%, but it is still rare.
Come on, Cofield. You got to turn the mic on.
Oh,
Jesus Christ, this guy with the microphone.
I'm here.
You've been in radio for 67 years. You might, the microphone's kind of a thing you got to deal with.
I've never heard this one before. This is a discussion about marijuana being dangerous and crime is up. And
no, hold on, Cofield.
Yeah. Yes,
we have to step back on the vax thing, because last time I was on with Watkins, you were going to go to Garth, and he was like, "Are you going to wear a mask? Aren't you going to wear a mask?" He's giving you a hard time, and you're like, "No, I'm not going to wear a mask. I'm vaccinated. Why would I wear a mask?"
Yeah.
Well, you're going to be jammed in there. And so last Friday night, my wife, I wanted to go, but I couldn't. I had to work. I was on the air. My wife, she needed a break. Garth is playing up in Cheyenne, 90 minutes away. I send her on the road with, I buy tickets. You and your best friend, go. Have a good time. She sends me a text midway through the concert. She says, "Is this some elaborate scheme to kill me off, to murder me?" And I said, "What are you talking about?" She, because she's like, "I'm certain, almost nobody here is, vaccinated. Nobody's wearing a mask."
Yeah.
And she sends me a picture of her and her friend in masks. I'm like, "But you're vaccinated, aren't you, honey?" You know? And so I text Cofield, like, "There it is. My wife is a loon, just like you, Cofield. She's a psycho, just an anti-vax or a vaccinated loon." I'm texting Cofield. He never responded, like, Mr. Bitter, the old Mr. Bitter. And she sent me a picture of her, at Cheyenne Frontier Days, in front of 7,500 of her best friends, and just her and her friend in masks, and with Garth Brooks and everybody. I'm like, "But you're vaccinated, like you're fine." And
it's like when Cofield asked me, "Is like, what do I want to get my ass kicked? I'm not trying to wear a mask at a country music concert right now." What the fuck, But I will say, I did see like maybe one or two people with masks in this, 80,000 people that were in Allegiant Stadium, and
that was my wife.
And nobody seemed to be bothering them or giving them a hard time, at least that I saw. So that was nice. Of the unmasked, unvaccinated to let the scared vaccinated masked people go along without being bothered.
I'm sorry, Dan. I know you sent me the picture and you stalled there. I tried to load it. It won't load it.
No,
sorry, dude.
Right. It's fine.
I was trying the whole time. Let me try to punch this one up again. So this was Fox and Friends in the Morning talking about marijuana, and they used
when you walk out on the streets of New York City.
Hold on one second. A quote from a DC police officer, and I kind of felt like, I don't think that's what he said. What the conclusion you're giving the audience seems a little weird. Maybe I was just missing it, because I don't. Are there crime statistics out there that, because in states where marijuana is legalized, where crime's gone up? I haven't heard that. I'm like, well, what is happening here? So give it it's about 2 minutes. Watch it.
You said it smelled like
urine and pot.
Okay.
Not a great morning show image, but it's true.
Right. But the pot part is particularly important because after the shooting in Washington, D.C. on Thursday night, on Friday, the chief cop in Washington, D.C. made a connection that too few leaders in Democratic-run towns are doing. And that is he finds a direct connection between the violence and pot usage. Here's Robert Conti.
We have taken on a mindset that marijuana is not really a big issue in our city. I can tell you that marijuana undoubtedly is connected to violent crimes that we're seeing in our communities. When you have something where people get high reward, they can make a lot of money by selling illegal marijuana, and the risk is low, the risk for accountability is very low, that creates a very, 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 very bad situation because those individuals get robbed, those individuals get shot at, those individuals get involved in disputes all across our city. I'm seeing it happen more and more.
So he just did.
Make it legal. Yeah, make it
legal. Exactly. Yeah. There he goes. Problem solved.
But he stated violent crimes are up because people want to get the drug dealer.
Illegal marijuana. Illegal marijuana.
But it wasn't the use of marijuana.
Right.
What he's talking about is black market.
It's the selling and dealing of drugs, which has been a problem, but they seem to be suggesting that the usage of marijuana means that crime is up.
Right. Well, they're not very bright.
And they're saying basically they're implying usage of legal marijuana by trying to say these leaders in far left cities, they're implying the ones who have legalized recreational use of marijuana, that crime is going to go up when you're just going to take out all of the adjectives he used and clarifiers there of violent crime surrounding the obtaining and funding of illegal drug use. I'm with Dan. So legalize it. Problem solved.
Now watch how they play off of that bite.
And he's not alone. In other cities, they're doing it as well. But what are they going to do? It's hard to put the toothpaste back in the tube. They've legalized pot in a bunch of places, and now they've seen violent crime spike. They're going to say, you know what? We made a mistake. Well, they should, because obviously the chief's numbers support what he said.
I'm really glad that the chief brought this up because it's a very touchy topic because pot has just been so normalized in our culture. But he brings up the point that there is a nexus between pot and violent crime. And it's not just the buying and selling. It has mental health effects. You have a higher chance of schizophrenia, of having psychosis. I mean, there's actual data behind that. People ignore that. And the pot lobby is very powerful. It is.
I watched it and I was like, wait, that's not what he said.
Yeah.
Right? Really weird. I don't know. I thought it was really weird.
I mean, we can comment on this shit, but it's just such low-hanging fruit. Our audience here is so much more intelligent than their target audience for this bullshit. I mean, I'll give them this much credit. At least they played the full clip of the chief of police in D.C. so we could hear the context rather than just saying, yeah, there's a connection between pot and violent crime and then just cut it off. At least I heard the whole thing.
Do their viewers care though?
No, but that's why I'm not even going to waste our time commenting.
That's what I'm saying. Do their viewers care? They could literally say, listen, we have exclusive video that shows that Donald Trump wins the election. And then they could literally show a clip of Bill Barr saying, my office has investigated. There's no evidence of election fraud. There you go. The Attorney General just told you. Right?
Yeah. No, I'm with you.
Amazing stuff.
It's Bill Barr talking about election fraud.
All right, we'll wrap on that. Thank you, everyone who's watching. We're back tomorrow night with DC and the Sunshine Man, Coken and myself, and we'll figure out who else will be on the show. But good job tonight, guys. Solid stuff. Good videos to wrap on. See ya.